Hey everyone, Geek for Fun here. Just a warning, this video is part of the same storyline as my What If Goku Was in DC video, so if you haven't watched that one, please be sure to do so before continuing with this video. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Long ago, the original Saiyan homeworld was torn between two factions. Saiyans of pure hearts, and those who sought destruction. One warrior, Yamoshi, led his 5 comrades against them, becoming the first Super Saiyan, achieving incredible power, and even in death, starting a legend that would be told for centuries. The Super Saiyan that appeared once every 1,000 years. A Saiyan who overcomes the wall which no warrior, no matter how gifted, can overcome. This legend eventually reached the darkest ears of all, Darkseid, ruler of Apocalypse, and one of the New Gods. Trapped in an endless war with the world of New Genesis, Darkseid schemed that if he were to one day control the Warrior of Legends, it could help him tip the balance in his favour. Unaware of how they were being watched by outside forces, the Saiyan race continued to grow after they escaped the destruction of their original home. They arrived on planet Tuffle, which after decades of war was renamed to Planet Vegeta, once they fully conquered the native Tuffles, and they stole their technology for themselves. King Vegeta's reign proved fruitful, as he began using the nearby world of Daxam as a training ground for young Saiyans, keeping the people there weak on purpose, but never fully wiping them out. A planetary punching bag for the Saiyans to practice war. As the years passed, the king grew more and more paranoid. The races of the universe were starting to band together against the Saiyans, and he felt his grip on his territories loosening by the day. So much was his fear, that he even exiled a young Saiyan child, the baby Broly's amazing powers threatening his bloodline's claim to rule. The child's father Paragus fled the planet in search of Broly, swearing revenge against the royal family as a result. King Vegeta even sent one of his own children into exile. His youngest son Tarbell was seen as an embarrassment to his throne. The child was sent to the planet Ran, so that the king could be rid of any association with him. His only true sense of pride was in his firstborn, the prodigal prince, Vegeta. Vegeta was a prodigy, able to surpass his teachers in no time at all despite his young age. This natural power left him arrogant, and soon he ran out of challenges to entertain him on Planet Vegeta. He wished to have a real conquest, something to prove himself to his father. King Vegeta forbid it, refusing to allow his son to leave the planet while there was so much attention being placed on the Saiyans. Vegeta was mighty, but he could not risk his heir being kidnapped or killed. After weeks of protesting, the young prince eventually decided to disobey his father, deciding to act for himself. He enlisted the help of Nappa, an older Saiyan who was in charge of looking after the prince while the king tended to ruling, and a young low-class warrior named Raditz, who was eager to prove himself with a real conquest too, and volunteered to be their pilot. They set off to the planet Thanagar, home to a particularly warlike race, and after a few weeks of travel, the Saiyans began their assault on a capital city. The battle was fierce and hard fought. The legions sent after the three overwhelmed them in their initial assault, but after each skirmish, the Saiyans felt themselves improve, Vegeta himself feeling the thrill of life and death battle for the first time. On their final assault, however, the Saiyans decided to use their fake moons and allowed themselves to transform into their Great Ape forms, which finally allowed them to take a city for themselves, slaughtering the defending forces and leaving the Saiyan royal crest carved in the city's ruins. Feeling that their thirst for battle was satisfied, the Saiyans made their way home, expecting to be greeted as heroes with cut-off wings and helmets as trophies. Unfortunately, all they saw was an asteroid field where Planet Vegeta once stood. As Raditz wept for his parents, and Nappa stood in horror at the thought of his comrades that now were lost, Vegeta gritted his teeth in anger. This was to be his moment of glory, his first step to taking the throne and ruling as king, now gone forever. The people of Planet Vegeta didn't matter to him. This was more an affront to his pride. Quickly, he demanded Raditz take him to Ran, knowing that if this was attack on the Saiyans, his little brother will most likely be next on the list, and that would lead him to the people responsible. When the trio finally arrived, they found a lone warrior standing in a wasteland. Rogol Zar. He had gone out of his way to ensure as little civilian casualties as possible, though this was more a courtesy. Crawling towards Vegeta, was his little brother Tarbell, barely holding on to life. Before the kid Vegeta had a chance to react, Rogol Zar ended the child's life with a thrust of his spear. Vegeta knew at that moment that this man was the one who had destroyed his planet, his people, robbed him of his birthright, and now stood gloating over killing a member of his royal family. He could not allow this to stand, and so the young Saiyan charged at Rogol Zar with all his might, Raditz and Nappa quickly following suit. The trio already moved like a well-oiled machine, having grown accustomed to each other's movements through their short time together, allowing Nappa to take charge while Raditz served as a distraction and Vegeta the overwhelming force. It meant nothing to Rogol Zar, who allowed every blow to land on him without budging an inch. Every blast, every kick, every punch, combination, everything they tried, nothing could stop this monster. He fought back at incomprehensible speed, Raditz feeling the impact of the punch long after it sent him hurtling to the ground. Nappa was thrown like a ragdoll, smashed into the ground repeatedly as his bones cracked with the sound of thunder. Vegeta lasted the longest. Despite his young body being covered in wounds, he refused to yield, biting his glove to hold up his broken fist to fire energy blasts. Rogol Zar placed the boy under his boot heel, as the other two Saiyans lay broken on the ground, unable to do anything but watch. With this act, he would have saved the universe from the Saiyans' impurity. The blood of the last son of Vegeta would mean his work is done. The Super Saiyan would never rise to threaten the universe again. Unfortunately for Rogol Zar, he was quickly blasted back by the sudden opening of a boom tube. Parademons rushing through and grabbing the Saiyans through it, keeping Rogol Zar from having the time to intervene. He screamed in frustration as the portal closed, the laughter of the parademons fading as he crushed their skulls in anger. His victory had been stolen from him, and now the Saiyans were in the hands of someone far, far worse. Vegeta opened his bruised eyes, no longer facing Rogol Zar, but the embodiment of evil itself, Darkseid. Beside him, Granny Goodness, who was already instructing her minions to take Nappa and Raditz away. The Saiyan Prince crawled to his feet, asking who dare interrupt his battle, demanding to be sent back so he could finish his foe. Darkseid laughed, as the tiny prince stared at him without the slightest hint of fear. Vegeta, curious at this new possible enemy, asked who he was. Darkseid blasted him with his Omega Beams, making the young warrior scream in agony as a pain unlike anything he had ever felt before overwhelmed his body, as if to say, that is who he was. Darkseid lifted the child by his collar, bringing him to his face as he explained from now on, he would be his father. He would now have become a child of Darkseid, his loyal son, a prince to Apocalypse, an heir to a dark legacy far beyond the scope of a Saiyan empire. The Saiyans weren't as bad as most other races. They understood that being stronger meant them better than everyone else. However, that alone was not enough for Darkseid. If he served him well, not only would he be able to kill Rogol Zar, Vegeta would be able to rule the multiverse itself in the name of Darkseid. Vegeta laughed, exclaiming that he would rule it only for himself. Darkseid laughed too, then proceeded to blast him again.
Darkseid is...
Vegeta and Raditz would be sent to Granny Goodness's orphanage, where alongside the other captain children like Big Barda and Scott Free, they would be tortured, trained, and moulded into loyal servants of Darkseid. Given his age, Nappa was first sent to be a slave. However, Darkseid quickly realised that having a Saiyan in the gladiatorial pits would bring far more interesting results. When Nappa thanked Darkseid for this chance, he had his tail removed as a reminder of his place. He was not a warrior, he was a tool for Darkseid, not a Saiyan. He was but an extension of Darkseid's will.
Darkseid is...
Raditz would be restricted food when he was thought to be misbehaving, held for weeks on end without access to water. His small body chained to a wall where the passage of time felt like forever. Slow starvation is agony to any being, but to Saiyans, the level of pain is unimaginable. Sometimes, Granny Goodness would come and listen to him cry for his little brother, who he knew was still out there. that he would get strong and come rescue his big brother from this abyss. These outbursts led to longer periods of starvation. As his mind began to break, that hope turned into hatred, resentment for the child his parents gave a better life to on this planet Earth, while he was in hell. All he had left now was the hate.
Darkseid is.
Vegeta trained. He trained until his knuckles bled. He trained until he couldn't feel his legs, when his mind began to create cruel hallucinations from his lack of sleep. Still, he would train. Darkseid allowed this. He molded the boy over the years to be a weapon, one stronger than any Saiyan in history. Vegeta, however, refused to break. He refused to give in. He would fake loyalty, but he would never truly follow Darkseid. He held on to his pride. It was the one thing a Saiyan must always keep. Every day, he would attempt to kill Darkseid, and every day, he would be beaten to the edge of death and sent back to train.
You are not the Saiyan Prince. You are the son of Darkseid. You are not the heir to a warrior race. You are a slave to my will.
Despite this, Vegeta wouldn't give in. He would feel himself getting stronger. He knew the legend of the Super Saiyan was real. If it wasn't, Darkseid wouldn't even be doing this. Then, if he could just harness that power, he would finally be free. This hope kept Vegeta strong. Despite the tortures, despite his fellow Saiyans surrendering to Darkseid's will long ago, eventually there was a turning point. One day, Darkseid did not fight back this time, and allowed Vegeta's daily assassination attempt to succeed. The boy was in shock, unable to process what he had done, until, just as the first spark of joy began to surface in his heart, Darkseid's true form whispered two simple words into his ear. Vegeta then realized there was no killing him. He was beyond the concept of death. He wasn't a tyrant. He wasn't a foe you could surpass. He was everywhere. No amount of training could bridge this gap. He was every dark thought in men's minds. Vegeta fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face, as the proud Saiyan finally grasped the true nature of what now stood before him.
Darkseid is.
From that moment on, Vegeta became Darkseid's knight, eventually besting his firstborn Kalibak in a dramatic display and taking full control of Darkseid's armies. Beside him were Raditz and Nappa. Their strength also dramatically increased from their hardships on the planet, and they would siege worlds for Darkseid, taking care to work in secret as to not alert New Genesis. Finally, having proved himself worthy, the Saiyans were gifted armor forged in the fire pits of Apocalypse, and given an ultimate task. Before they could wage war on New Genesis, Darkseid required the anti-life equation, a legendary formula said to be found on Earth in the minds of humans that held the power to enslave all beings in the universe to Darkseid's will. Raditz smiled, finally having the chance to meet his little brother after all these long years. Nappa laughed, his scarred body aching for a real challenge, and Vegeta, with but a simple smirk, activated the boom tube, leading the Free to the planet Earth.
For the glory of Darkseid.
I hope you all enjoyed me taking a detour away from Goku to give you this dark glimpse into the life of Vegeta in DC. I'm sorry to the Prince that I somehow made his life even worse. Hopefully you enjoyed the story enough to let me off the hook for that, and are excited to see the confrontation next time on What If Goku Was in DC Part 2. The response to this series has been absolutely amazing. I never expected this goofy little idea I had to do so well. All I can say is to each and every single one of you who have taken the time to watch these videos and share them around, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope to use this to do better and better content, and I hope all of you will stay with me along the way. If anyone wants to help out, it'd be greatly appreciated to get some fan art for this series, which I would then include in the video. And any voice acting, which would be extremely helpful. The little snippet here of Darkseid is just a preview of what I'd really like to do with this series, and hopefully make the quality better and better until we get something really special here. I couldn't have done this without the help of my friend Sid Part 2, who helped me with a lot of the ideas in this story, so I'd recommend you go check him out. He has a Green Lantern project on his channel that's very similar to this series, so please give that a watch. The link for that will be in the description. As always, take it easy folks, and I hope to see you all next time.
I am the Revelation, the Tiger Force at the core of all things. When you cry out in your dreams, it is Darkseid that you see.
What the hell are you on about?